The last thing you hear at night is not a small detail of your day. It is the architect of your tomorrow. It slips quietly into the deepest chambers of your mind, where logic sleeps and belief takes root. In that silent space between wakefulness and rest, your mind is most impressionable, most obedient, and most powerful. Whatever enters there does not ask for permission, it simply begins its work. Think carefully about that moment. The lights are off, the world is quiet, and you are left alone with a voice, perhaps your own, perhaps someone else's. That voice carries thoughts, and those thoughts carry seeds. If those seeds are fear, doubt, and worry, then do not be surprised when your morning greets you with hesitation and uncertainty. But if those seeds are faith, purpose, and vision, then you awaken not merely rested but directed. Your mind does not sleep the way your body does. It continues tirelessly sorting, shaping, building. It takes the final impression of your day and magnifies it, weaving it into your subconscious patterns. This is where habits are born, where confidence is either strengthened or weakened. You may believe your success depends only on what you do in the daylight hours, but the truth is, the foundation is laid in the darkness. Many people unknowingly sabotage themselves at this critical hour. They end their day with noise, negative news, careless conversations, or the echo of their own doubts. They rehearse their failures, relive their disappointments, and whisper to themselves all the reasons something cannot be done. Then they wonder why they wake up uninspired, why their energy feels drained before the day even begins. The answer was planted the night before. You must become deliberate. Guard that final moment as you would guard your greatest treasure, because that is exactly what it is. Choose what you allow into your ears and your mind. Feed it with thoughts of possibility. Remind yourself of your purpose, your goals, your determination to achieve them. Speak to yourself with conviction. Even if the world has not yet given you evidence, the subconscious mind does not require proof. It responds to belief. Imagine ending each day by affirming what you are becoming. Not what you were, not what others have said about you, but what you have decided. Picture your success as already in motion. Feel the certainty of it. Let that feeling settle into your mind as the final note of your day. When you do this consistently, something remarkable begins to happen. Your actions start to align with that belief. Opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles. Your mind, now properly instructed, begins working in your favor. This is not chance. It is not luck. It is the natural law of thought and belief. What you impress upon your subconscious mind, especially in its most receptive state, will influence your behavior, your decisions, and ultimately your results. The last thing you hear at night becomes the script your mind follows while you sleep. So ask yourself, what story are you telling yourself before you drift off? Is it a story of limitation or a story of growth? Is it filled with doubt or driven by purpose? Because that story does not end when you close your eyes. It continues, shaping the person you will be when you open them again. You hold more control over your future than you realize, and it begins with something as simple and as profound as the final thoughts you allow into your mind each night. Choose them wisely, and you will not merely rest. You will advance silently and powerfully toward the life you have decided to create. The last thing you hear at night is not a passing whisper. It is a command issued to the most powerful part of your being. It is the final instruction your mind receives before it goes to work in silence, shaping your beliefs, guiding your emotions, and influencing the direction of your life. Most people underestimate this moment, dismiss it as trivial. Yet within it lies a force so subtle and so consistent that it can determine the difference between a life of purpose and a life of quiet struggle. As you prepare to rest, your conscious mind begins to fade, releasing its grip on logic and reason. In its place, the subconscious mind becomes dominant, absorbing impressions without question. It does not argue, it does not analyze, it simply accepts and acts. This is why the last thing you hear carries extraordinary weight. It bypasses resistance and plants itself directly into the soil of your inner world. If that final impression is filled with worry, then worry becomes the architect of your thoughts. If it is filled with fear, then fear becomes the lens through which you interpret your experiences. And if it is filled with doubt, then doubt quietly undermines your confidence. influencing your decisions long before you are even aware of it. The mind, once impressed, begins to work tirelessly to make those thoughts feel real, familiar, and justified. But consider the alternative. Imagine that instead of surrendering this moment to randomness, you take control of it with intention. You decide what your mind will hear, what it will accept, and what it will build upon. You speak to yourself with clarity and conviction. You affirm your purpose. You reinforce your belief in your ability to succeed. You direct your thoughts toward growth, opportunity, and determination. In doing so, you transform that quiet moment into a powerful act of creation. Every great achievement begins not with action, but with belief. And belief is formed through repetition, through consistent impressions, through the quiet agreement between what you tell yourself and what you begin to accept as truth. The last thing you hear at night becomes part of that agreement. It strengthens the narrative you carry within you. It shapes how you see yourself, how you approach challenges, and how you respond to adversity. There is a reason why some individuals rise with energy, clarity, and purpose, while others struggle to find motivation. It is not merely circumstance, it is conditioning. It is the accumulation of thoughts that have been repeated, reinforced, and accepted over time. And much of that conditioning takes place when the mind is most receptive, just before sleep. Think of your subconscious mind as fertile ground. It does not choose what grows, it simply nurtures whatever is planted. If you plant seeds of negativity, it will cultivate them with precision. If you plant seeds of ambition, it will do the same. The difference lies not in the mind itself, but in what you choose to give it. The last thing you hear at night is the seed you plant before the long, uninterrupted hours of growth begin. Too often, people allow external voices to dominate this moment. The noise of the world, news filled with fear, conversations filled with complaint, distractions that carry no purpose, becomes the final influence on their thoughts. They drift into sleep carrying the weight of these impressions, and their minds, obedient as ever, begin to process and reinforce them. Over time, this creates patterns of thinking, patterns of feeling, patterns of behavior that seem natural but are, in truth, constructed. To change your life, you must first change these patterns. And to change these patterns, you must take control of the inputs that create them. It begins with awareness. Recognize the significance of that final moment. Understand that it is not insignificant. It is not neutral. It is either working for you or against you. When you choose to end your day with intention, you begin to reshape your inner world. You replace uncertainty with clarity. You replace fear with confidence. You replace hesitation with determination. You speak to yourself as someone who is already in motion toward success, not someone waiting for permission to begin. And as you repeat this process night after night, something shifts. Your mind begins to accept this new narrative. It starts to align your thoughts with your intentions. It influences your actions in subtle but powerful ways. You find yourself making decisions with greater confidence. You approach challenges with a sense of purpose rather than doubt. You begin to notice opportunities that were always present but previously overlooked. This is not coincidence. It is the result of deliberate mental conditioning. There is a quiet discipline required to maintain this practice. It demands that you become selective about what you consume, especially in those final moments of the day. It requires that you turn away from distractions that offer no value and instead focus on thoughts that contribute to your growth. It asks you to take responsibility for your mental environment, recognizing that what you allow into your mind will shape your reality. This discipline, though simple in concept, is powerful in execution. It is not about grand gestures or dramatic changes. It is about consistency. It is about showing up each night with the intention to guide your thoughts, to reinforce your beliefs, and to invest in your future. It is about understanding that progress is often quiet, often invisible, but always cumulative. Consider how this practice influences not only your mindset, but your emotional state. When you end your day with thoughts of gratitude, purpose, and belief, you create a sense of calm and assurance. You allow yourself to rest not just physically, but mentally. You release the tension of the day and replace it with a sense of direction. This, in turn, improves the quality of your rest, which enhances your energy and focus when you wake. And when you wake, You are not starting from zero. You are continuing from where your mind has been working throughout the night. The thoughts you planted have been nurtured. The beliefs you reinforced have been strengthened. You rise with a sense of continuity, as though your progress did not pause while you slept, but advanced. This is the hidden advantage of those who understand the power of the mind. They do not leave their growth to chance. They do not rely solely on external circumstances. They take control of the internal processes that shape their experience. They recognize that success is not merely the result of effort, but the result of alignment. Alignment between thought, belief, and action. The last thing you hear at night is a tool. It is a mechanism through which you can influence that alignment. It is an opportunity to reinforce the direction you have chosen, to remind yourself of your purpose, and to strengthen your commitment to it. It is a moment that belongs entirely to you, free from external demands, free from distraction. Use it wisely. Use it consistently. Use it with intention. There will be moments when doubt tries to return, when old patterns attempt to reassert themselves. This is natural. Change does not occur without resistance. But each time you choose to end your day with clarity and purpose, you weaken those old patterns and strengthen the new ones. You build resilience. You develop a mindset that is not easily shaken by temporary setbacks. Over time, this practice becomes part of who you are. It is no longer something you have to force. It becomes a habit, a natural part of your routine. And as it becomes a habit, its impact deepens. The thoughts you once had to consciously repeat begin to feel instinctive. The confidence you once had to build begins to feel natural. The direction you once had to define becomes clear. Your life begins to reflect these internal changes. Not all at once, not in a single moment, but gradually, steadily, unmistakably. You move with greater purpose. You act with greater confidence. You respond to challenges with greater clarity. And as a result, your outcomes begin to change. This is the quiet power of mastering your mind. It does not demand attention. It does not announce itself, but it is always at work, shaping your experience, guiding your path, influencing your results. And it begins with something as simple and as profound as the last thing you hear at night.